Welcome to Enlightenment of Change on webtalkradio.net. I'm your host, Connie Whitman. Thanks so much for joining us this week. So as you listen to the show, I really do hope you feel my passion for this word change and life that, change happens. It's inevitable. We can't always control it. So I do hope that my guests and I provide some tips and strategies and ideas that are actionable for you, because when we create action or implementation of an idea or strategy, results come inevitably. And to me, that's where the magic happens. So I do hope that the show and the information really you use as a resource for whatever change is going on in your life. To help you navigate change, of course, I have a free gift for you as well. It's my free communication style assessment. You get a report showing your wonderful natural superpowers. Want to leverage that. Also get a report showing your blind spots, which I don't know, sometimes I think is even more important, because if we understand we have blind spots, we have ways to compensate, overcompensate, or hire someone to help us. So just again, go to whitmanassociates.com. Please take your free communication style assessment. And again, make this road of change just a little bit easier for you to navigate. Now, my motivational quote today is by Edward deBono, and I hope I said that right. And his quote says, "Creativity involves breaking out of expected patterns in order to look at things in a different way." And as I reflect on my own life, right, because that's my access point, that's where my perspective and my commentary comes from. But as I reflect on my life and having a dad who was an engineer by trade, I was taught how to look at situation, a problem, whatever a life event was happening through this lens of logic, which is kind of funny because I remember as a kid loving to draw and create pictures of landscape with horses or colorful sunsets. I'm very attracted to the beauty of the natural world, right, of our earth. I might have drawn like a field of trees with flowers, and the list goes on. And I'm not sure what happens or when it happens, but I actually stopped drawing and using my creative mind. And I think as my life became busier, right, between academic, sports, working part-time, always during school, while doing sports, family obligations, your friends' commitments, boyfriends when I hit puberty, right? All of those lists that we all face. Life just got too busy and I stopped creating pictures on paper and canvas. And then, of course, now I have a business which is creative in its own way, again, in certain ways. Guess what? Today is a perfect time to get excited about creativity and how it can transform your life. And I hope you heard that word, transform your life. Some tools may work in your personal life and not in your professional life. The cool thing is that tapping into your creativity is something that enhances every aspect of your life. And here's the secret. Everybody's creative. And today my guest is Alex Cappe. And Alex is a creativity coach. We need more of you, Alex, in the world. She's a musical keynote speaker and the founder of Creative Self-Revolution in Los Angeles. As a creativepreneur, through a combination of vision and social media expertise, she's amassed over 50,000 social media followers, 250,000 plays, and over 1 million YouTube views. Woohoo, go my girlfriend. And in her business, she helps women reclaim themselves, feel better in their own skin, and embrace their unique genius for a more joyful life. And through her work and speaking, Alex is on a mission to provide inspiration worldwide, give people powerful tools involving creativity and mindset, and empower everyone to live truly an inspired life. Please help me welcome Alex to the show. Alex, I'm really excited about today's topic.
Thank you. Thank you so much for that intro. And I am really excited to be here and have this conversation with you.
Yeah, that was a little bit longer than my usual intro, Alex. So I do apologize for that. But I shared this before we started the show. I really pause when I write those introductions and think, why aren't I creative like I used to be? Life gets in the way. And I know that resonates with a lot of my listeners as well. So first question is, what's your story that brought you to help other people reignite this creativity?
Yeah. So, my story is a little bit different than a lot of people because I've actually been creative all along. I've just used creativity in different ways. And so I started out as a dancer, and I got on stage at age 4, and I decided this is what I want to do with the rest of my life. I want to be in front of people connecting. I love this feeling. And sort of went on that path, got into music. and decided I wanted to move out to LA and become a performer. And so I did that as soon as I could, and which is not as soon as I wanted, because my parents were like, you got to finish school. So I got out to LA. I didn't know anybody. I drove across the country in my car, and I just started to sort of try to figure out how do I make this happen as a musician. So I started to book myself some shows. I started to put out some music. I wanted to get a record contract. That was the big goal, so that somebody else could take care of the distribution and getting my music and my message out. Eventually that happened for me, and woohoo, it was really exciting. So I got the record deal and everything was going well. We recorded stuff. We were putting together a show. Everything was just like right at the precipice of the huge dream. And as you can imagine, this story is not going to go perfectly from here. So basically at that moment, at the tipping point, the label calls me in to say, we're really sorry to tell you this, but the label is folding. And so everything we've done, all the music, the show, everything, it's gone.
Oh,
so that was pretty devastating to me.
oh.
As one might imagine, was pretty traumatizing that you had this moment where you thought the dream was coming true and then it was taken away. So that kind of threw me into a downward spiral. I kind of fell apart, and was trying to figure out what I should do with myself. I decided I needed to leave LA for a little bit, put myself back together in a way where maybe this would not devastate my entire being. And so when I did that, I tried a few different ways to sort of bring myself out of this hole that I was in. And one of the ways was creativity. As I mentioned, I'd always been creative, but I hadn't really leaned into it in a deep way. And when you really allow yourself to go to sort of darker places or fear places, it's incredibly healing. So what I discovered was that I was healing through creativity in a way that I hadn't realized it could be used. And I started to come out the other side, and I, grew more confident and figured out who I was and what I wanted to say. And so that was a beautiful experience. And after that happened, I decided I want to go back to LA. I want to continue to sing and make music, but I really want to help other women use creativity, because it's something that can help them heal. It can help them express themselves. It can help them get connected. It can help every area of their life. And I would love to help people do that, because I think it's just the most amazing thing. So
yeah. And what a story. See, nobody gets to elude tragedy, trauma, life mishaps for none. And that none of that was because you didn't do something or you didn't execute or deliver on a promise or whatever, right? It's just a business went out and you happen to be part of the casualties of that demise, right? So none of us are immune. That's number one. But number two, we all go to the dark place, right? Because that was your identity. You were going to LA, this record deal, right? This is me. I'm going to be a recording star. And then, no, you're not. So again, whether you're a business owner and your business has failed, bankruptcy, whatever it is, we all have faced that moment where you think one thing's going to happen and it, takes a direct right turn that you weren't anticipating. So it's scary. And the other thing, before we started recording, Alex, I said to Alex, shared my story that I don't draw anymore. And I'm trying to get back into that for my own sanity. And I said something and you laughed at Alex and you said, oh, that was great. So I'm going to say it again. Let's hope I could get it out there correctly. But I basically said that now for Christmas, I asked for a coloring book. Yes, a coloring book. And so that I could go and quiet my mind, because I'm always in work mode. I'm always in business mode, right? It's very hard as a business owner, right? Alex, you know this, to turn it off. And so with the coloring, it gives my brain a chance to rest, but also gives it a chance to amp up so that I can be creative in my business. So slowing down to speed up is just one of those lessons that was a hard one for me to learn. But yes, thank you for that. She just clapped for those of you listening on Apple or Spotify. So yes, thank you for that applause. But we have to give our mind that rest from the everyday stuff so that we make room for the creative, right? So I just love everything you're about and how you found, funny enough, you being a creative, but a different way of using your creativity from a healing perspective, mind blow with that. What are some misconceptions that you see about creativity that you'd really like people to stop thinking, right? So that we could use creativity really to the maximum level.
I mean, the main one is that people say, oh, I'm not a creative person. And it is never true. Like every single person is creative. And the way I think about it is that you're either connected to your creativity or you're not. That's the thing. It's not that it's not there. You're just connected to it or you're not. So you can learn ways to reconnect to it if you've gotten disconnected from it, and to how to use it now, because who you are now is not who you were when you were 5. You're probably going to utilize your creativity in a different way if it's been absent for a while. So it's something that the other way I like to think about it is that human beings are the only ones who are gifted with creativity. Animals can't do this, for example, like a dog cannot play the trumpet. A cat can't paint a picture. We love animals, but they can't do this. We can. So I think it's an ability that we have, and it's sort of our responsibility to use it, because we're the only ones who have our unique experiences, our unique perspectives. And if we don't share those things, they're just lost forever. So it is important to connect to it because it'll help you, but also because we need your voice.
For people who say they're not creative, and it's funny, really up until recently, I always said, oh, I'm not creative. Of course I have to be creative, because I wouldn't be able to create programs. I wouldn't be able to help clients if I can't creatively look at their situation and come up with real life solutions. There's creativity involved in that. So I think sometimes the word creative, we think it has to be an art form, even though creativity is really a mind, our tool. Our mind is a tool, I think, often, right? Did that just make sense, what I just said, Alex?
Absolutely. There's a quote by Twyla Tharp, which I can't quite remember, but it's about creativity is something for business owners. It's something for engineers. It's something for parents trying to figure out how to help their kids. Like, it is a way of thinking, a way of being. It is not just, can you write a beautiful symphony?
That's right. That's right. And it makes room. Again, that creativity helps our brain. I think it's a muscle thing, right? Our brain is a muscle. It helps us exercise the muscle and see things that we didn't see yesterday or couldn't see yesterday, because that part of our brain wasn't activated, and it could be through creativity. Now you also said, I want to circle back a little bit. You said that some people are either connected to their creativity or not connected to their creativity. So people are thinking, she's crazy. I have no creativity. And I when God was handing that little deal out online, I walked away and went to the bathroom. So I am not creative. What do you say to someone like that? How can they start to maybe find where they really are creative or connect with that creativity?
Yeah, I mean, I think if you ask people when they're a little kid, are you creative? Do you draw? Do you dance? Do you do any of these things? Almost everybody raises their hand. If you walk into a kindergarten class, are you creative? Yeah, I love to draw, and then as time goes on, you mentioned this, like if you ask somebody when they're 21, less hands are going to go up. You ask somebody, 10 years after that, less hands go up. And so it does degrade over time. And it's not because it's gone. It's because we stop valuing it as something that's important to us, and other things take precedent. And so
Right.
Yeah. And so I think that that's an important thing to think back when you were a kid. Is there anything you did? Did you draw? Did you dance? Did you, I don't know, beat on a drum? Like, any of that stuff is a creative impulse. I mean, one of the simplest ways is just to do something like morning pages, which is the artist's way practice of just writing in the morning, sort of stream of consciousness for 15 minutes even. And it starts to just get you connected to who you are. If you just write, you sort of brain dump whatever it is you're thinking or your dreams or you're feeling. And you start to sort of like, you discover things. Every single time I do this, I discover something. I'm like, I didn't realize I thought that, and so you get more and more connected to that. When you start to do that, you start to discover other things. Well, maybe I think this, or maybe I could try this. It starts to sort of open you up. And as you open up, you can discover some other creative possibilities.
That's so smart, right? Just do a brain dump without thought. So without filter.
Thought.
Right now I write, I filter. What do I want to say? How do I want to say it? Is there a beginning, middle, and end? All the things that were taught in writing, for example, right? And people know I have a writing coach, because I know I'm not a great writer, but a brain dump, and just to see what comes out of that brain dump is where because it's from your heart, it's from your soul when you do a brain dump, right? There's no ego or intellect. It's just your heart. And so when you can examine that, you really start to see what's in your heart and soul. And it's funny. because I teach sales, which is, so there's creativity to sales, by the way, everybody, there is creativity to that, but it's funny. When I observe people, I have them record it and I watch their presentation, and I tell you, showing someone what they're doing and then tweaking it from there, people start making exponential money. But the creativity of it's their way, not my way, right? That's the other piece of it. Own who you are. So sometimes I point things out like, you have a great sense of humor and you see how you connect it with this client. And then you see over there, you connect it with the client this way. It's a very creative way to start a conversation. It works for you. And they're like, really? So again, it's pointing things out because it's so common to us, Alex, right? We don't realize we're being creative, or we don't realize that everybody doesn't have that gift. So all of a sudden you start examining yourself with a different perspective. So I just like that, writing from your heart and soul with zero filter, what's showing up, and then just going back. And the other thing, I have a question. So here's how Connie would do it. I would do my brain dump. There probably would still be some filtering because I do like to control even my thoughts, which is dangerous. But at the end, I would think I should go back and review without judgment and almost a childlike perspective. I don't know. What do you think?
Yeah, I was going to say, after I said the morning pages thing, I could see people in the audience being immediately like, oh, well, what if I don't know what to say? Or what if it's not good? And what if I mess something up? I don't want to do it because what if I mess it up? So I think two important things with that. You have to let go of the perfectionism with this. And I'm going to give you permission right now, anyone who's listening, you can do it not perfect. That sentence was not even perfect. You can, it doesn't have to be good. So I'm giving you permission, just go, just let whatever comes out. And sometimes you need somebody else to give you permission. It's okay. You can just do it. You can do it badly. It's fine. So that's one thing. Another thing is to not judge it while it's happening. And, that's one of the things you do with meditation, for example, is you're not supposed to judge your thoughts as they come in. But with this practice, if you can not judge what you're writing, if you can just let it out, and it does take a little bit of time, you can't just be like a spigot right away. But I can do it now where I'll just close my eyes and get in front of my computer and I'll just start writing something. And then I'll read it like a couple hours later and I'll say, what? Oh, okay. Because it's literally my subconscious just coming on to the page. So it's releasing judgment, and then it's not something you're editing. This is not for anybody else. This is for you. And so it's just, and you can look back over time and sort of see what you thought and how you evolved.
It's so freeing. It's so freeing. The thought of that is so enticing. I just can't even tell you. And buy a pretty journal so you're enticed to write in the book, or if you're a computer, have pretty pages that your template that you're writing on or whatever, right, to even entice you a little bit more. Be a little creative, and even how you're writing the thing, and that could be inspiring in and of itself. In what ways have you seen with your clients that they are able to use that creativity? And let's talk about personal development first.
So I do love to work with women. My sort of favorite people to work with are at a point where they're in a transition of some sort, and they've lost sense of who they are. And this can happen for any number of reasons. And I think it happens for all of us at least once, if not multiple times. Yeah. We're just like, let's say you are a mom and suddenly your kid goes off to school and you're at home and you think, wait a minute, who am I without this kid here? Or you lose a relationship. Who am I without this other person? And so at that moment, you're a little bit lost, because like, I know who I was when I was 18. I don't know who I am now. So that's the moment where I love to step in and help people with this, because I think it's a great discovery tool. It's also something, so you can reconnect, you can find yourself and reconnect. You can also use it as a processing tool for everything you're feeling and for whatever the world throws at you. So if I have a bad day, I can pick up my guitar and do something. I'm pointing at my guitar, which the people on listening can't hear, but it's always nearby, because sometimes I just need to process something. And sometimes even I will resist it. I'll be like, I just want to feel mad. And it's important to feel what you feel. But if you want to process whatever it is, to find an outlet for that. And so I lead people through a process where they try different things out and sort of see what fits now. Again, not doing it perfectly, just seeing what happens. And then something connects and they get excited and they start to come around the other side and figure out who they are. Who am I? What do I want now? Why do I want that thing now? And they're such simple questions, but they're so profound and they're so easy to get lost over time. So I lead through a process where you can sort of discover all that stuff. And then you can take that tool and go fly. You can continue to work with me in some more advanced ways about it, but that's sort of the personal development track.
And I don't know about you, but I feel since COVID, because my business had always been corporate, and all of a sudden I was networking with business owners and they were like, can you help me? I was like, oh my gosh, of course, like so honored, right? For them to even think of it. And then I had to create another division. And I had people in Europe and oh my gosh, everything I did was live. Now I have to digitize. What does that mean? What platform? And you feel overwhelmed because of everything you don't know.
Mhm.
And so that's why I think coaches are super important. And I have 3 coaches specifically for different skills that I don't have that I'm looking to develop. But those 2 years, 2020 and 2021 was huge personal development years for me on things I didn't know. And it is overwhelming, but if you take it one little step at a time. So you said it. I love how you said it depends on the person. And when they start working with you, you help them decide where is their creativity going to land for them, that they're going to want to do it, right? And it'll help them move the needle, whatever change they're trying to navigate or transformation they're navigating. So I really think that it's not a cookie cutter thing. And people listening, I know you're all thinking so many different things, because I know I'm thinking different things than writing a song. Like I would never even attempt to write a song. I have no desire to write a song. That would not be how I would want to create or show my creativity. So now personal development, I totally get that. And I've seen that in my own life. Me, the person, Connie Whitman, technology is where my focus was. Needed to be, rightfully so, and exhilarating for me to learn things I didn't think I could learn. So even things like that could be very gratifying. But now flip that. How do we leverage that and bring that over to our business and our personal life?
Okay, so
I'm professional life, not personal life.
Professional.
Yeah, you know what I was saying. Sorry about
I
that.
gotcha.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I know that a lot of people listening to this, they're really concerned with that. Okay, that's great for my personal life. What can I do with my business? And I think with business, a lot of what it does is it just sort of opens you up beyond black and white thinking or beyond sort of limited views, and it allows you to think in a bigger way and allows other ideas to come out of you that you wouldn't have thought of before. If you're the person who's coming in with all these ideas, then you are the person people are going to start to go to. Companies need a creative advantage. They need an advantage to stay over other companies. What's the way to do that? You have to keep evolving. How do you evolve? You come up with new ideas. So it's partly just opening your mind up so that other things come out and you're not in this sort of rigid, like this or that, or it can only be done this way. You start to sort of think in a more sort of flowy way, not a ridiculous flowy way, but a cool flowy way. So that's one thing you can do to bring it into business. I also would say that if you are using this in your personal your personal life, that kind of worked. And so you can bring it into your business in that you are feeling better as a person and more connected as a person. If you're going in with that energy and you're feeling more confident and like, you know what, I have something to say and I'm going to express this, that allows you to be bigger in your business. If you are feeling like, I don't know if my ideas are any good and you're staying quiet, automatically you're not going to get as far or be as helpful in your company if you have a company or as a business owner. So it's partly like the confidence that comes from being creative, and you allow yourself to think different things and express those things and see what happens from there and be open to how those things then progress.
And it's so important to have a guide, like someone like you in this case, Alex, because, and I'll give you an example. So with all this technology, I needed to start doing these live workshops so people can get an essence of who I am, how I teach. Am I a good match for you? Because I'm not a good match for everybody. I get that, right? So these workshops, it's like people kind of test drive you, right? Mm-hmm. And so I did a workshop and it was horrible. It was horrible. And so I was talking to my coach and what happened? I was like a fire hose because I want to over deliver and I want everybody to learn. I want everybody to make selling so easy and loving. And so it was like, it was so intense and people loved it and said, you're generous and wonderful. I don't think they understood half of what I said because I was a crazy person. So I hired someone. Again, I know what I know, but I know I don't know things. And he helped me. And what he did through hours and hours of having conversations with me that he recorded, like I would say something and it would take me a paragraph. And he would say, so what you're saying is, I'm going to give you an example. We came up with a coined phrase for me There's every time we sell, Alex, you included, there's always an objectionless buyer. They have no objections. They're waiting for you. Unfortunately, to get to that objectionless buyer, there's 5 layers of buyer's resistance, but that objectionless buyer is always there. You have to learn how to break those 5 layers down. Well, that was about 3 hours worth of conversations for him to get, but buyer's resistance, that never was part of my vernacular when I talked about sales, right? It was objections. But as soon as you start to, people think, oh, I have buyer's resistance. Oh, I do. I start thinking of objections when I know the pitch is coming, right? Or the offer is coming. And then this new phrase of the objectionless buyer, everybody knows what that means. So sometimes your own creativity, your own capability, your own abilities, you can't define. And that's when we need to hire a guide and hire someone like you. So I first of all, that you went through trauma, not that I wish trauma on anyone, but it's interesting how your life was set until it wasn't. And then you had to use your own creativity in a whole different way for survival. And when you came out the other end to say, whew, how many people are going through, maybe not exactly losing a recording contract, but other traumas, right? We've all had major life events. So that shift, I think, is just so profound, and that you can help people with that shift is so profound. And I really want people to understand, sometimes we have to hire people to get done what we need to get done. And I really believe, and it's so funny, being in business 20 years, Alex, I feel, and during COVID and learning all this digital, the number of times I said to my husband, how did I survive 20 years? I don't know anything about business. And of course, it's not true. I just didn't know this digital, right? So I do believe, as a business owner and just people in careers in general, people who are working, it really does take a tribe to create whatever it is we're trying to create and build the life we're building. It takes a tribe. We need people in our corner.
Absolutely. And I think coaching, I mean, I didn't get into coaches until a few years ago either. I didn't realize I ever needed a coach.
Right. Yep.
I got a business coach, and it just sort of changed everything for me. It was like a creative business coach to figure out how can I use my creativity in a business way. As a musician, I'd already been an entrepreneur, which I did not want to be. I didn't realize I was one, but I was marketing my own stuff and I was booking my own shows. Like, I was doing all these business aspects, but learning the actual business principles and going through, here's how you put together an offer, and here's how you do this, and here's how you do that. Like, that was so invaluable to me. And now I'm taking it and sort of doing it my own way, but you have to learn the basics of it. And I think you're right. You have to have people in your corner. I think a lot of us want to just do it ourselves. Oh no, I can figure it out. I can figure it out. I can do it. I can do it myself. And maybe we can, but it would take a lot longer and probably be a lot more painful, and not be using our most, precious genius by trying to do all this other stuff that is not in our wheelhouse. Exactly.
And the thing is, like with my, Jim Nicelonger, who helped me with my webinar stuff, like he and I still work together. He's still helping me. And once you get really dial in that messaging with more clarity, my programs get better, even though I'm still teaching what I'm teaching for 40 years, but everything gets more refined. It's landing properly with people, because I'm sales, I'm not marketing. And there's two very different things. Like, you were really good at the marketing, that, because to me, that's a more creative, my word, creative, right? It's a more creative, where sales is a little more scientific, logic driven, right? But they're two very, very different things. So yeah, I just think everybody needs help, and we think we could do it ourselves. And so I just say beware, because what the time you're wasting, you could be banking some money, and what it would have cost you to hire the person, you could have made back 20-fold, but you're waiting, right? So just be careful, know what you're doing with thought, so that you don't waste time, because time to me is money. Last question. What would you say to someone who's afraid maybe to try to tap into their creativity because they think it's been too long, and that'll work? This sounds great, Connie and Alex. This is not going to work for me.
Yeah, I mean, and so there's the objection that this is not for me. And I think that it can be a scary thing to embark on, because you don't know what's going to happen from it. And we've been living in a massive amount of uncertainty for the last 2 years. We're still in
Yes.
uncertainty now. And
Yeah.
uncertainty is scary. And some people do not want to throw themselves into more of it. I would say that try to think of the benefits and I can promise you the amazingness that's going to come out on the other side if you embark on that journey. And that, like you said earlier, you can just take it one step at a time. Why don't I just try writing morning pages, 3 days a week and just see what happens? Or why don't I just try to color in a coloring book, like you were doing, and just little things that you can introduce it and feel like, oh, this actually does feel kind of good. And so I think it's just allowing yourself to have a sort of pleasure with it and to learn about yourself and to be open to how that is, rather than being like, this is not going to be fun, I'm not going to like this. So that's sort of the mindset piece of coming at things with curiosity, coming at yourself and everyone with empathy. One of the phrases I learned last year was radical empathy. And I just love that. I learned that in relation to sales, which I thought was a beautiful way to look at sales. It really is like, how can I help you in a way? And so, but also turning that back on yourself, that you need to be patient and empathetic with who you are, and know that there's benefits on the other side once the journey even gets a few steps in.
And it's funny too, because like I'm doing the coloring, right? That was because I can allot 15 minutes and be done. And no matter where I am, I could always go back and fill in that picture, right? Color it a little further. So that was the boundaries that I could set. And the time allotment I would allow myself every time I sit to color. So again, writing, I love that. 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 15 minutes, 3 days a week. See what works for you. There's so many different things out there now. There's so much talk about this, right? Clearing the mind. And I think clearing the mind is really creativity. It's you allowing your mind to embark on those creative things. Again, to use the muscle, but the magic happens on the flip side. And I'll just share with you. So I started, we're mid-January recording the show for you people listening in the future. And it's 2022, by the way. It's like, I feel like we're in a time capsule sometimes, Alex, with the show, right? Like what happened back in 2022 in January? But anyway, so since December of 21, I've been coloring in this coloring book since Christmas. And I'm calmer, I'm sillier, I'm laughing more. Why? And oh, by the way, I'm not spending an hour a day coloring. Let me just tell you, it's a couple of times a week, 15 minutes here, 10 minutes there. I have a few minutes before I have to leave to do something. The coloring book's on the kitchen table. I'll just sit and start coloring. So make it convenient for yourself, I think, as well, so that you can do it when you have 5 minutes or 10 minutes. So Alex isn't saying make this complicated. She's saying make it simple so you actually do it. And the writing was just such a great example of a mind dump, because we all know how to write. We all know how to type on the computer, right? It's not like you have to learn something to do that.
Yeah. I mean, I think also with a lot of us, we have our calendars and we like to schedule things. So I think scheduling it, like you said, you did some scheduling, is really important for us. You just schedule in 15 minutes wherever in your day you sometimes have a little break or you need a moment to yourself. Just put that 15 minutes in your calendar. Oh, I'm going to do this now. If writing isn't your thing, you can also just like speak what you're thinking. You can take out your phone and use like the voice memos and just sort of speak out what you want in case you're like, I don't want to write. And then that also just allows you to sort of brain dump in a different way. You can learn things that way.
Great idea.
So yeah. And I think that a lot of these things, once you do them, look at all those things that happened that benefited you, but they're benefiting your clients too. If you're calmer and you're, a little sillier even is useful. It's the sort of soft skills that we need to enhance in order to be better in our businesses.
Yeah. Because sometimes I could be intense and my clients feel that, right? So you want to try to be sillier. So you're still getting the work done, but without that level of intensity sometimes, right? Because I want everybody to succeed. And sometimes people can feel that intensity. That's the word I'm going to use, right? That you get what I'm saying. So yeah, listen, guys, I think you all need Alex in your life. I love that Alex is in my life. She's in my life. No, I'm teasing. So she can be in your life too. And it's very easy. You can either email her at alex@creativeself. I want you to do it. I can't. Self-Revolution. Did I do that right?
Yes, you did.
creativeselfrevolution.com, Alex and Alex is ALEX. Also, you could go to creative revolution .com, the website, and there is a free gift. It's subscribepages.com, right? It's .com. I'll put that. It's a little bit longer, but why don't you tell everybody what the free gift is? It's the essentials.
I've got a bit.ly link for it, actually, that might be easier. It's bit.ly/soft skills creativity. So if you put that in, it'll come up with this page. And it's sort of talking about the things that we talked about in terms of how things are good for your personal life and your business. So how you can use creativity to enhance those soft skills, which I know is something that if you're looking at jobs, people want the soft skills. If you're in a job, you need to enhance them. So that's what I'm kind of going through in this guide, is how to use that. It's a short little ebook. It's great. And yes, the website is creativeselfrevolution.com. Did you ask me another question that I didn't answer?
No, but what I do, that was good, because what I'll do, guys, is, and because I'm looking at show notes here, sometimes I can't read it properly. So I will put it in the show notes on the Apple Podcast, Spotify, YouTube, wherever you watch it. You'll be able to find Alex. So again, it's creativeselfrevolution.com. I got that right. Creativeselfrevolution.com.
And social media is all at Creative Self Revolution. If you're on a social media platform, if you can just put that in, you can find me that way too.
Don't know why that's hard for me to say. See, I'm not in my creative zone right now. I guess that's the problem. Thank you, Alex, for just sharing. I just love this topic about creativity and the freedom it provides, but the growth it provides both personally and professionally. I just love it. I think it's the tip of the iceberg that we all need in our life. So thank you for sharing your zone of genius and your personal story and how you kind of landed here. Fascinating. I love my guest story. They're fascinating.
Thank you so much. It was a great conversation. Thank you for your enthusiasm. And I hope it's inspiring to some people that they might try something out.
I think they will be inspired. Otherwise, they have my wrath to deal with. But no, I really think there was some good, inspiring stuff and easy peasy things that they can implement. So yeah, thank you so much. Just great. And it's a fun topic too. So that, that's nice when they're commuting or vacuuming or exercising to listen to a fun conversation, right? Yeah.
Sure.
So thank you again, Alex. Always a pleasure to see you.
Thank you.
I hope you guys will join me weekly as we question, build, and discover together. No matter what change you're going through, my guests and I really do have your back. We really do care. And we hopefully are providing some little ideas for you to implement today, right? Implementation, action creates a reaction, which creates results. And I'm all about results. So again, hopefully my guest, Alex, in this case, and talking about creativity will help you move your needle on your journey of change. Thank you, Alex. Thank you all for joining me. You've been listening to Enlightenment of Change on webtalkradio.net with me, your host, Connie Whitman. And I truly am excited every week when you guys join me. And I truly wish you an inspired week filled with magic and just wonderful things. Go out and color, go out and do the brain dump of writing, talk into your phone, yell into your phone if that's what provides an outlet for you or some reprieve in your day. But just try to do something creative and let me know how it goes. I'm always so curious about the results that my listeners get. So thank you again for joining us. And everyone, I will see you next week. I'm truly honored to have you on this journey of change with me. And I look forward to seeing you next week. Thanks so much.